Good afternoon. Welcome to Mike and the Hoss on Wolfeboro Community Television. I'm Mike Danais.
And I'm Charlie Hossack.
Coach, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm okay.
This is our first time back in studio.
For the show.
For the show. Yeah, for the show. Obviously, we were there for Sports Awards, but
I miss our set.
I love our set. Yeah,
I
do miss it.
I missed
But people
it.
aren't going to see, just so you know, they're going to see this. But this is coming out on Friday like it always does.
Yeah.
Sports Awards aren't until the Friday after.
Good point.
So people are seeing us really for the first time on our set. And so Mike was talking in reference to the Sports Awards. We were asked to help out with the Senior Student Athlete Awards, so we had a chance to do that, and that was a lot of fun.
It was nice. It was nice to be part of that. I'm looking forward to seeing the final product.
Yes.
Our producer, Timothy Goodwin, has some editing to do.
Yes, yeah. It was, I wish we had saved some of that. It would definitely have a Mike in the House blooper reel. Yeah, so there's mostly me. But
I don't know. I think I had a few myself. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Morrissey's Porch and Pub.
Skelly's Market.
And Downtown Grill and Cafe. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys, for your sponsorship.
And also, this week, we're going to try and be around a half hour, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Sports still aren't happening yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
But we do have some things to talk about. And you and I both serve on the Cal Ripken board.
We do.
And we had to make a difficult decision this morning.
We did.
Today's Tuesday.
Yeah.
We had to make a difficult decision. And Bill Huffman, the Kingswood Cal Ripken president, is going to be joining us in a little while via phone.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that decision and what went into it, and how it's disappointing. It's not good news.
Yeah, it's not good news.
We also are going to do our athlete of the weeks.
Yeah.
Some COVID updates for some major things, major sports teams, and then we have another episode of Start, Bench, and this one's cut.
Before Kate, let's talk about. There is something that happened in the sporting world. We actually didn't even talk about this pre-show. Rob Gronkowski lost the belt last night. The WWE 24/7. He was pinned. So he is no longer the champion, the 24/7 champion. And apparently, I also heard, he is no longer part of the WWE.
Desperate times, guys.
Well, what's really desperate is I actually watched it. I watched him get tricked and get pinned, and he lost the belt.
Desperate times.
Yeah.
I listened to sports radio yesterday a little bit.
Yeah.
I've been in and out just because there's not a lot going on. And I listened to a little bit this morning, and there was obviously not sports talking about. They're talking about the rioting and all that stuff that's happening.
Of course.
With the George Floyd incident.
Yep.
And murder. We'll go to murder.
Yeah.
And it's dominating the news cycle, which has taken us away from COVID, which has been, I don't say it was a nice break because it's not a break.
Yeah.
It's not what we're looking for.
Of course.
But
you're right. There hasn't been a lot of COVID talk.
No, and it just says where we're at as a society right now. Where we're not good.
Yeah.
We're really not. Things are. 2020 is not turning out to be a great year right now.
It isn't. And I mean, and let's throw this out there. And this isn't obviously a cure-all or a fix, but maybe having sports come back will help the healing process.
Absolutely. And I think that would be really important for teams to be able to root for something.
Yeah.
What do we have to root for right now?
Yeah. Nothing.
No, and there really isn't anything. I root to mow my lawn. I mean, it's just really, there's nothing going on. I know you don't like that one.
I can't stand mowing my lawn, but no, you're right. Yeah. And and you think of, and I know this, I know we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about the rioting and protesting and all that, but it also a product of people have done nothing for the past 3 months. So now all of a sudden, is this something to do? I mean, it's terrible.
They need an outlet.
Yep.
And that's what's kind of happening right now. Your sports does give that outlet.
It does.
At the end of the night, the Red Sox win a game, there's a euphoric feeling. You're like, oh, that was awesome. Big Papi hit one out. Oh, he's not playing anymore. But,
sure.
I mean, you go to bed with that euphoric feeling.
Yeah.
You don't have that because you keep watching the news. They try to put in uplifting stories, but it's usually uplifting stories around tragic moments.
Right.
And so it's hard. You go through the day and you're ending the day on these negative notes, and you get hooked into watching the news because it grabs you about what's going on in the world. But
it does.
We don't have an outlet as far as sports goes. To even with our own own families and local stuff, you don't have that outlet that you can cheer something.
Exactly.
When was the last time you cheered something?
Yeah. It's been a long time. Well, maybe the Gronk thing, but but in all seriousness, like I find myself, I have been spending way too much time on social media, whether it's Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, and nothing on there makes me feel good.
No.
And then I leave and I don't feel good, and I continue the rest of my day. Like I arrived today just when we walked in here, and I was angry. Just I've been looking at Twitter and this and that, and my feelings, and I shared a little bit with you, and it's just like I don't want to feel that way.
No.
And so I need to monitor myself. Like I need to stay off of social media. I need to pick and choose when I'm going to do it, because it's really not healthy.
Well, and you and I are relatively positive guys, and we look for a glass half full and so on. There's a big segment of the population that is more of a glass half empty,
right?
And this is just feeding into that negativity that they have, and there's a lot of anger out there, and I think we've seen it over the last 7 days, how much anger there is,
right?
And people are taking it out on people that they don't even know,
right.
and it's kind of warped, the whole thing. But I really do believe it's indicative of where we are as a society right now.
I agree.
And as a result of a lot of the COVID frustration, people have been cooped up and frustrated. They lost their jobs, their money, they can't get food,
right.
Or they lost a loved one, even worse. And
Yeah.
it's really pushing society to a brink of.
It is. And I'm going to just keep it personal still for a second. Like just the uncertainty of, first of all, what's going to happen to our country with all the rioting and looting and protesting. What's going to happen with the coronavirus? Is there going to be a second wave? Are we going to be in lockdown for the next year? We're both teachers. What is the fall going to look like? Are there going to be fall sports? So you look at everything. Are we going to be going back to school? Is it going to be remote learning, or is there going to be a hybrid? So we don't know any answers. And for me, I struggle with that. I don't know anything. So I'm just kind of living my life day to day, really without any answers. And if I go looking for answers, I could find the answers that I want, but then also I could find the answers that I don't want, because nobody seems to know anything.
Nobody knows anything.
So it's very frustrating.
I have a friend that he's older than us. He's on the back end of his teaching. He's going to have a couple more years left, but he's retiring. And he's not retiring because he doesn't want to teach anymore. He's not retiring because he doesn't like the kids. He's not retiring because he doesn't like the work. He's retiring because of the uncertainty that's coming. He says, I can't handle the uncertainty, just similar to what you just said, that I don't know what September is going to look like, or October, and are we going to be at school for a week and then come home, or are we going to be teaching from home, or are we going to be at school, we're all wearing masks.
Right.
And that's just one piece of it, but there's uncertainty in everything that we're doing right now, and it's hard, so... Anyway, all right, you ready to start the show?
Yeah, it's good. I think these conversations are good.
I think they're helpful.
I think people that are watching the show are probably feeling the same way that we do.
I agree. Let's go right to. I told Bill we were going to call him and talk about.
So we're calling Bill Huffman, and Bill Huffman is the president of the Kingswood Cal Ripken Baseball and Softball League.
Hopefully he answers.
Maybe the number's unfamiliar. He won't pick it up.
We were undefeated when we were...
Hey there.
Hey.
Hi, Bill. Bill, you're on the air with Mike and the Hoss. How are you doing?
I'm all right, guys. How are you?
All right.
Doing well, thanks.
So, Bill, we previewed it a little bit. We said that both Charlie and I are on the board of Cal Ripken, and obviously you're the president of Kingswood Cal Ripken. And that we had to make a difficult decision this morning. And the decision, so everybody knows out there, we had to cancel the Cal Ripken season. And so I think it would be good for the folks at home to hear from you, Bill, what kinds of things went into that decision?
Boy, a lot. I couldn't even count the number of emails and texts that were just to... local officials, businesses that we work with, even other league presidents in our area, even outside of our district, as we were kind of sharing notes and figuring out how things were going to play out. Ultimately, with a decision this important, it couldn't be made, whether to go for it or not go for it. without as much information as we could get. So by accumulating information from, the CDC, the state, local guidelines, we just got to a point where we were able to analyze all of the information we could get, and discuss it. I am so appreciative of the board and the officers that we have to think through every scenario so that we can figure out what would the best case scenario be, and is that best case scenario worth trying to move ahead on? As well as trying to figure out all of the logistics, the concerns we might have. Because every part of the program was different. Softball had different issues than the upper levels of baseball, of Cal Ripken. Babe Ruth had a different issue as well. T-ball was different. But when all of those factors came together, it made sense to cancel. None of us wanted to. I think everyone involved with Kingswood Cal Ripken, we love the sport, whether it's baseball or softball or both of them. And we're not just the players, but we are also so invested. It's heartbreaking to have to cancel it, but I think it's, and it's not even a business decision. Some places are not doing things because they have to make a business decision. For us, it wasn't a business decision. It was about being able to present baseball and softball effectively and safely, and we weren't going to be able to do that. And of course, part of it was we weren't going to have all of the facilities and things that that we would normally have. There were just ultimately too many constraints in order to do it effectively.
Yeah, I agree, Bill. And one of the things that I think is important to mention is that the Nick has been open for us, and that's where the Cal Ripken, that's where we play our baseball and softball, and they were going to be available this year, which is great. But I think we made the decision, and thanks to your great leadership, that just the guidelines that we were going to have to follow in order to provide a safe environment for the youth and the coaches and the umpires and our fans, it was just going to be too great for us to really accomplish. Do you want to speak a little bit about the guidelines? You don't have to go into great detail, but just share a little bit of the guidelines with the audience.
Sure. A lot of the guidelines that we would have followed would have been a combination of guidelines that would have come from the state of New Hampshire, as well as Babe Ruth Baseball, the national organization, plus anything that New Hampshire Cal Ripken had added, plus any guidelines that were going to be put upon us from any facility that we use. And so that would have included not being able to use the dugouts, that coaches would need to be 6 feet away from their players, even during games. That includes mound visits. That would include coaching up their players on the base paths. The players themselves, except for during game action. So when there's plays at bases and so forth, they need to stay socially distant. That includes, since they're not using the dugout, they would have to be spread out at predetermined spaces along the left and right field lines, 6 feet apart with their equipment. There's no sharing of equipment. And if equipment had to be shared, such as at lower levels, sharing catcher's gear, it would have to be completely sanitized and disinfected between users. And I know some leagues, we never got to this minutia when we were talking about our plans, but I know some leagues that are trying to get something together. The umpires, the home plate umpires will not even be behind home plate. They will be behind 6 feet away from behind the pitcher. Mm-hmm. So there's so many little things throughout. And then, of course, just with the group guidelines, right now there can be groups of up to 10 people. So a team of 12 players could not practice together until that phase of the reopening went past. And from everyone I've spoken with, the next step after 10 people is 50. So how do you police a game if your restriction is 50 people? You have 12 players on each team, that's 24. If each team has 3 coaches, one of which would have to be like a parent coach to ensure that the players remain socially distant on the sidelines. Now you're up to 30. You have an umpire, that's 31. A league official, one of us from the board and the officers would need to be at all of them. That's 32. That leaves 18 spectators. And then how do you police that? Particularly if you look at a place like the Nick, which we love, there are so many entry points. People can come and go. So you could have 18, but then 2 people show up. You're at 20. Do you go to those 2 people and tell them they can't stay? And then while you're talking to them, 3 more people show up? So there's just... there's a lot of restrictions and, not restrictions, guidelines that we would have had to follow. And, some of it there's even more minutia to some of it, but a lot of it just seems so important, and I understand the reasoning behind it, but I don't know how we would have done it effectively.
I agree, Bill, and I think that you described very well what we were facing as we made this decision, that what would a typical game look like with all those things? And it couldn't be just 1 or 2 people or just the coaches policing this. It would have to be all 40 or 50 people there that have bought in to these guidelines and follow it, which is probably not practical for all 40 people to do that or 50 people to do that. And you made a point about the access to the Nick. If somebody wanders over from the track and isn't part of the program, they just want to catch a baseball game, they're standing next to somebody within 6 feet. Now, somebody has to go over and speak to them, and it creates a negative environment for the kids. And that's one thing that we really did wanted to avoid.
And even just like, how would we say only home teams, family members could be there? But then is that really? I mean, that would just seem really awful for the away team to experience, like, nobody from their family is watching. So
Right.
then do you say that, like, only half the kids of each team, and then how do you manage it? It's like who can be a spectator schedule? It just, none of it seemed fair.
Excuse me.
Or really logistically possible. And then I was also, we were also talking about how we could encounter days where we have games in 90-degree heat, and there would be a likelihood that the snack shack isn't open. Kids, one of the guidelines is there's no spitting, no candy, no sunflower seeds, no chewing gum, and players have to have their own personal water bottles. Well, if it's 90-degree heat, a kid could have drank his entire bottle of water by the end of the first inning. How are they getting their water bottle replenished? Are they responsible for bringing a cooler with 6? There's just so many little factors. Like I said, there's a lot of minutia to it that we could go into even deeper, but there's just so many factors that just made it difficult.
Right. No, I think overall, Bill, I think you made a great decision along with the board and the officers. I mean, it was a tough decision. I was talking to Mike earlier that this sending that email to you was painful. I mean, there are things in life that are painful. That was painful for me to say that we are canceling a softball and baseball season, and because it hurts. Because softball and baseball were a really important part of my kids' lives growing up through the Cal Ripken program. It's always been a great program and a great place for kids to they made their friends there and continue with those friendships. That being said, I know there's some options on the table that you kind of put out there. Do you want to speak a little bit about Roger Allen and a little bit about Mike Shaw?
Sure. On the softball side with Mike Shaw, he's trying to put something together, some kind of a summer softball league. I don't have any details yet, but I will gratefully share that with any of our our softball community once we get it. I'm sure Mike will send it out as well. Our vice presidents for softball, Courtney and Jessica, I'm sure will send it out. So I think it's geared toward the older side, so I'm guessing a 12U or 13U kind of thing, but at least there is that opportunity. Because, I mean, that was one of the things with the softball side, was that we really didn't want to cancel it, but there were our biggest hurdle for softball was that 99% of the surrounding communities that we either play against or we could approach to play against had canceled their seasons already. So, I think it's really important that Mike is trying to put something together to give some opportunity for that. And on the baseball side, Roger Allen Baseball, which is based out of Rochester, they are putting together a summer program. They have opened their program up to players in nearby towns whose programs were canceled, like ours. And I even reached out to them this morning to confirm everything. And they're keeping the registration open for a few more days so that Kingswood players have the opportunity to register for participation in their program. It's rogerallenbaseball.com. Otherwise, I mean, we're not affiliated with Roger Allen Baseball. It doesn't, in a business sense, it doesn't, influence our decision, but it is, I think it's really important that there is something that we can steer our community to. And I know, I'm trying to look up the email right now while I'm talking. Let me see. The Roger Allen has, they're doing T-ball, rookie, minors, a major 60, and their levels are different than ours. So they have T-ball, they have rookie. Their minors is 7 and 8 year olds, which is what our rookies is, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then they have major 60, which is 9 and 10 year olds. That would be our minors. And then they have a major 70, which is our majors. So they're offering all of those. And so people can go to their website. They can also email. It's rogerallenbaseball@gmail.com with any questions. They've been really open and responsive in sharing information about what they're trying to do. They had shared their guidelines with me a week ago, so that I could see what another league was doing to try and get something going. But they have a much bigger organization. They have many, many more fields to play on. So they have more resources to be able to try and put it together.
Awesome. Bill, I can't thank you enough for your leadership, as Charlie said, through this. I think it was really important for you to come on and explain to the audience, what went into it. And I think you really described very well on how difficult this was and the hurdles that we were going to have to jump over to even think about making this happen. So thank you very much for that, and thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bill.
I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come on and talk with you guys about it. Because certainly most of the information these days is being shared electronically via email and everything. So to hear the voice, I think is probably a good thing.
Awesome. Thanks again, Bill. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care, guys.
Bye, Bill. Oh, it's great to hear from Bill. A tough decision.
A tough decision, but boy, when he, we've had this conversation, 5 or 10 times over the past couple of weeks,
right, as
board members and stuff like that. But to hear him put it, all into one package about everything that we were going to have to do,
right?
I don't want to say it's not realistic, but it would have been a real stretch to make it happen according to the guidelines.
Exactly.
And I think Roger Allen has their hands full.
I think so too. I mean, they're going to just think about all the different support staff you would need. I mean, Bill had mentioned it, not only parents abiding by the regulations and helping, police the kids, the players, and the coaches and having the hand sanitizer and having the just the water thing. Bill made a great point about that. You're right. What if the kiddo brings a big water and that's gone? You can't share water.
And we normally play our Cal Ripken season, between the beginning of May to roughly the middle of June.
Yeah.
Where it's still spring.
Yeah.
We're talking. This was going to be a July, August season, in the heat.
It's going to be hot.
I just there's a lot of things. I think Bill did a really nice job with that.
I agree.
It was really difficult, And you had mentioned the email that you sent. Every one of us as board members sent that same kind of email.
Right.
That this is really difficult. I can't believe I'm voting to not have a baseball season.
Right.
That we are in control, to have that vote. We volunteer to do that,
of course.
Obviously. But to vote no is really difficult.
Mm-hmm.
We still have a few other things that are happening for our older boys.
Right.
And as of right now, they're happening. But I said, before,
never know.
that there's a difference between things are going to happen and things happen.
Right.
And I feel like through the month of May, we heard a lot of things are going to happen.
Yeah.
But as it gets closer, and as Bill just stated, when you start thinking about everything that's going to happen, it's harder to get. You can get up to the finish line, but it's hard to get over that finish line.
Right.
And until that first pitch is thrown, I'm not. I'm not going to be thinking. Same thing with soccer. Until that first ball is kicked, or any kind of lacrosse
whatever
league.
sport. Yeah.
Until you actually get on the field and you actually start, I'm not convinced that it's going to happen. There's these guidelines are there for the safety of everybody involved, and I'm not criticizing the guidelines. Somebody has to make some tough decisions with that.
Mm-hmm.
But to actually put those into work is really difficult. It is really difficult, and so I think Bill did a nice job. Athlete of the week.
Yes.
Our female athlete of the week is Grace Saunders. Grace is a member of the class of 2020 and has been a three-sport athlete her entire high school career. Always a positive contributor to the athletic department and the overall school culture, Grace will be missed upon graduation. Grace, thank you for your leadership and commitment to Kingswood Athletics. Great work.
Nice. Good job, Grace. Our male athlete of the week is Dan Hartley. Dan has been a big factor in our football program and helped keep the boys' tennis program going a couple years ago when he kept an open mind and picked up a tennis racket. Dan would have returned to another season of tennis this spring until the season was canceled. Thank you, Dan, for your willingness to try something new and learn a lifelong sport like tennis. Great job. Congratulations, Dan, and congratulations, Grace.
Congratulations, guys. Bill just texted that Holly, the director at the Nick.
Yes.
I forgot Holly's last name, but
Holly Aucoin.
Aucoin, thank you. Completely supports Bill's decision because it was going to be on her also.
Of course.
To create some safety environments
guidelines
at the Nick, and so it was.
Yeah. But I can't say. I mean, I'll say it again. I know I'm kind of beating a drum. Thanks to Holly and the Nick board and all that, being able to keep that open for our youth to be able to get out there and still have the opportunity to practice and run around and work out and do all those good things.
Informal practices.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like a couple kids going and throwing a baseball around or kicking a soccer ball.
Yep.
That's great.
Awesome. So we talked about so local sports. We said there's a couple things that are still happening.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't happened yet, but they're supposed to happen, and hopefully that happens. But on the national level, the NHL has made some decisions.
Yeah.
They are going to have 24 qualifying teams.
Mm-hmm.
That the top 8 teams, I believe, are going to get a bye.
Yeah.
And then 16 teams are going to be. I probably
like
have
a
this
round
wrong.
robin.
A round robin. Yeah. Our Bruins won the President's Trophy.
They did. They did.
They won.
They were going to,
Trophy.
even if the season hadn't been.
And so the
postponed.
NHL is going to be playing out of 2 cities. They're going to do it out of 2 cities. I don't know what those cities are.
I don't know what they are either.
It probably doesn't matter because there's no spectators anyway.
I was going to say, we're not going to the games.
No, we are not.
So.
The NFL they haven't had to do much lately. I mean, the NFL's kind of in that sweet spot of seasons at this point where they were able to do their draft and they were able to do that. But they're certainly trajectorying towards no fans. Yeah. Trajectorying. I don't think that's a word.
You just made it a word, so yeah.
Trajectorying.
But so here's the thing, and I'll probably anger a lot of fans right now. Personally, I love football. I'd rather sit on my couch and watch it. Because every time I go to a game, it's fun. I love to tailgate and all that stuff, but I miss half the game. because you can't see the instant replay and this and that. And I would rather just sit on my couch and watch the Patriots win and watch Tom Brady and Gronkowski win, and life is going to be good.
Side topic: best spectator sport.
Baseball.
Baseball? Okay.
Well, for me, baseball. I don't know. What about for you? I didn't even give you were going to give me like choices, so sorry.
Well,
I like horse racing as well. That's fun.
In there when you're there.
Yeah. Well, I like it. Period.
Okay, when you're
Kind
there.
of fun.
I went to Churchill Downs last year.
You did? How
With
was
Sam.
it?
Sam was going. He was looking on a little recruiting visit at Louisville, University of Louisville.
University of Louisville. Oh.
And so we decided to go to Churchill Downs and pick up some horse racing.
Good time?
It was great.
Yeah.
It was
It's
great.
fun. I like horse
And,
racing.
So
what for you though? What's your best?
hockey. Oh,
Yeah.
Hockey.
I like hockey too.
When
of
you can
course.
hear the hits and you know and what's nice about hockey is it's not a big field like a baseball field where you get a bad seat in baseball.
Sure.
It's really hard to see down the
or
line.
post in front of you.
Exactly.
Like looking around.
But hockey, I mean, you can see
Yeah.
the whole ice, and it's
True.
pretty good. All right, NBA, 22 teams going to Disney World.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We'll see how that looks.
Yeah, yeah. So
There's no start dates yet, though.
no,
They're
not
just,
yet.
I mean,
Just throwing it out there.
MLB, maybe 82 games.
Oh boy,
I got to tell
the
you,
whole union issue.
they're not close.
No.
And I think there's a legitimate chance that baseball is not played, not because of COVID,
Right.
because of greed.
Absolutely because of the greed. And if you look at any of these sports, hockey, football, basketball, baseball is the one where you are pretty much socially distant. Like
Yeah.
it's the one sport where most people that are like really concerned about COVID could be like, all right, we can make this work.
There is not one single player that's in the field that is within 6 feet of another player.
Right. Right. And then you just address the umpire, catcher, batter, and then you address when a runner's on base, hold them on or whatever. It's really not that big a deal.
No.
So and all these other sports seem to be getting their act together. But you're right, it comes down to greed. Greed with the players.
Greed with the players.
Yeah.
And I'm not on the player side on this one.
I'm not either.
And I know the argument is the owners of the billionaires that they're the ones who should be taking a hit, and I would make the argument that they probably are taking a hit also, but to not be willing to take a pay cut when you're playing half the games,
Yeah.
and there's no fans.
Right.
There's no real. I mean, you got the TV revenue, but that's it.
And what about think about minor league baseball? So I don't normally do this because I'm not a fan of David Price, but you saw what David Price did, which
No,
was
I did
which
not.
was this was a good move. David Price is paying every single minor league player in I guess it would be the Dodgers organization $1,000 of his own money, just to help them out because Major League Baseball has stopped paying them.
That's so shameful. So an average minor leaguer makes $400 a week. Okay, $400 a week.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, for some people that's a lot. But anyway, the major
Yeah.
league.
Well, no, for some people, absolutely, that's a lot. But in comparison to a minor league baseball player to a major league baseball player, I mean,
David
it's
Price
just,
makes $30 million a year.
yeah,
So they make $400. Major League Baseball stopped paying these guys their $400 a week stipend.
yeah,
And it would have cost each major league team roughly $1 million to pay their players throughout the season. The Red Sox are worth upwards of $3 billion.
right.
The Red Sox have 5 guys that make over $20 million a year.
Yeah.
They can't pass the hat.
I know.
And
It's just a drop in the bucket. $1 million for the Red Sox is a
Right.
drop in the bucket.
I mean, just pass the hat. If,
Yeah.
the 5 most heavily paid guys on the Red Sox plus the ownership, if everybody gives it, $100,000 or $200,000, which is like a game check for some of these guys.
Right.
And then you can finance the whole minor league system, so they at least have something.
I agree. It's shameful, and what's going to happen? What's going to happen to the minor league system? I mean, these guys are now going to have to get jobs,
Yes.
and they may never return to the baseball field.
Yeah.
And so this has ramifications to the future of baseball. Forget about the fact that they may not even start this year. That's going to kill baseball right there. But if they do get started and the minor league doesn't exist, if you're a minor leaguer and you're 26, 27, and hoping to make it, you can't stick around a year without pay.
If you have a family.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of these guys have families started.
Right.
And, I mean, I fear that if baseball doesn't get started this year, their contract's coming up, their collective bargaining agreement's coming up,
Yeah.
and I'm afraid that they might not start for a long time
Mm-hmm.
because they're going to have to change how they pay. Their business model doesn't work.
Right.
The NFL business model works because they have revenue sharing and revenue sharing between the cities and the different teams, and revenue sharing between the players and the ownership.
Right.
And so that's where the salary cap comes into play. The salary cap is based on 47% of the overall revenue of the league.
Mm-hmm.
And so if the overall revenue of the league improves, then the players'
Right.
shares improve, which is really what it should be. Where baseball isn't like that.
Right.
The Yankees, I mean, they have the luxury tax, but the Yankees don't necessarily share with Minnesota
Mm-hmm.
or Kansas City.
Right.
You know, they have, like I said, they have the luxury tax, but they could choose not to get over it
Mhm.
and still be $150 million ahead of those teams in
Right.
salary. Baseball might be coming for a day of reckoning.
I know. And, I go back to the minor league piece where I love going to minor league baseball. We're lucky enough to have the Fisher Cats in Manchester, and we've got the Sea Dogs over in Portland. But, think about it. Like, when our kids were younger, for me even now, but I could bring my whole family there for about $60, $70. That included, like, a hot dog, a drink, a ticket, and parking. And it's a great night of family entertainment. And even if you had to leave after the fifth inning because, for whatever reason, not a big deal. And think about all those parks and all the money that's spent, all the jobs that are at those parks. They don't exist anymore. So these decisions are impacting not just the baseball player and their immediate family. The ramifications are huge.
Yes. Yeah.
So
I don't know if minor leagues were going to get off the ground this year anyway.
Yeah.
They're having a tough time getting the majors off.
Of course.
We're having a tough time getting Cal Ripken off the ground in Wolfeboro.
I know. I know.
So, there's a lot of things that are going, but the reasons for not getting them off the ground are beyond COVID right now for the MLB.
Yes.
And that's really sad to see.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. So, that's a sad note to end this on.
Yeah. We want to talk about Gronk again, or you're over that?
Not over that.
The other
Talk
sport.
about NASCAR?
I was going to say that's the other sport that that is going on is NASCAR.
Golf is supposed to get started.
Yeah.
So golf is going to get started. Not that there's a lot of cheering in golf, but I want to say not this weekend, but the weekend after, I believe, is the first tournament without fans
For golf, yeah.
for golf.
Yeah.
Interesting. In the LPGA, they gave the option for players not to have caddies, to carry their own bags, so that they could socially distance.
Wow. That's
find
interesting.
That
That is interesting.
I wonder how many are actually going to do it.
I don't know. I don't think I'd want a caddy.
I love a caddy.
Yeah, that
Caddies
would be
are
nice.
Great. Do you want to save?
Yeah, let's save our we could save our game for next time because we're running a little late of what we thought we were gonna do.
Yeah, well, I think it was important to have Bill with us, and that was a major decision that was made this morning. But it wasn't made this morning. It was discussed about for the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh yes.
We were kicking this around and trying to figure out a way to get that Cal Ripken season in and softball season.
Yeah.
It just, and as Bill pointed out, it just wasn't
going to work.
feasible.
And we just and the KCRBL. I mean, we're one of the last leagues to cancel. Not that it's a competition, but there are a lot of other leagues that just pulled out weeks ago and said, we're not going to be able to do this.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think it's well, I can't speak today.
I don't know. Just make a new word.
Compliments to compliment to Bill on trying to keep it going as long as we did.
Yeah.
Trying to turn over every last rock.
Exhaust
and to
every option.
So.
Couple of positive things though before we go. All right. So coming out on June 10th is going to be the Senior Athlete Awards.
Yes.
So that will be released. That's going to be very exciting. Last day of school for us, for the students. Is this Friday, June 5th. So their summer vacation officially begins.
Yes.
Which is probably exciting for the kids. The last day of school, I know it's a little different this year, but last day of school is always very exciting for my kids.
Yeah, and shout out to the kids. The kids of Governor Wentworth School District and across the nation have been doing this remote learning, and folks, it hasn't been easy for them. There's been there was a lot of self-motivation in there, and a lot of problem solving that they had to do without a teacher hanging by. I mean, even though we were online and remotely, it was a different world for them. And to learn at home is different than learning in the classroom.
It sure is.
And so they made some adjustments, and a shout out to the kids of Governor Wentworth School District.
Definitely.
It was quite the
Hope
ride.
that they have a good, safe, and healthy summer.
Absolutely. Thank our sponsors, Morrissey's Porch and Pub,
Yeah. Skelly's Market.
and Downtown Grill and Cafe.
And
Thank you
don't
very
forget the man of all men,
much. Timothy
Goodwin, the producer of Mike and the Hoss, and
pretty much everything else that goes on in Wolfeboro.
pretty much the boss dog. He's gonna try to cut this out, and we're not gonna allow it. Pretty much the boss dog of Wolfeboro Community TV. So thank you, Timothy. We do appreciate all that you do, and thank you for getting us back into the studio and making sure everything is safe here for us.
Thank you, Timothy. And thank you, everybody, and we will see you next week.
Go Knights.
Go Knights.